Ruby's eyes narrow at the sight of the dark kitsune. What do you want? Ruby asked with a voice of hatred. I think you know what we want, Yuriko responds as she walks towards Ruby and Kiri. Ruby has been holding Kiri's hand and using a subtle spell to release the paralyzing spell from her. Kiri is now able to get up, but she decides to stay on the ground for now. Ruby stands and glares at Yuriko. What have you done to Alina? Ruby asks. Alina is fine. She's got a minor broken leg injury, but that's no big deal. It can be healed in an instant. We've managed to unlock one of her abilities so far, but of course you already knew that. You can't just keep forcefully unlocking her abilities. That will destroy her. Yes, but it'll give us what we need. However, we need both of you together. But again, you already knew that. Yuriko makes the hand signal, and both Kagami and Kira go behind Ruby and Kiri. They don't care about Kiri though. Their focus is on Ruby. Ruby gets into a defensive stance, and so does Kiri. Kiri plans on to defend Ruby despite it being 3 powerful kitsune against a werecat with electricity magic and a fire elemental werewolf. Both Kiri and Ruby let their claws come out. You two take out Kiri, I've got Ruby, Yuriko demands. Kira and Kagami go after Kiri. Kiri tries to run over to Ruby to help her, but she gets pinned down by magic pink butterflies that have the strength of a large brick. Like my pink butterfly magic? It's great, isn't it? Kira says with a smile. Kagami rolls her eyes at Kira talking to Kiri. What did you do to Alina? You hurt her somehow, Ruby shouts at Yuriko. Yuriko smirks. I told you, it's just a broken leg, Yuriko says right before she tries to grab Ruby with a lunar shadow. Ruby quickly dodges Yuriko with fire magic. Yuriko quickly deflects without even moving. She summons a lunar crystal. Yuriko has dark lunar magic and she's very good at using it. You did more than just that. Tell me what you did to her, Ruby shouts as she battles Yuriko. Ruby seems to be struggling in this fight and Yuriko is hardly moving her feet. I put her to sleep, Ruby. She's getting her rest and regaining her energy, Yuriko responds. Ruby then has a shock of realization. You put her to sleep? You couldn't have done that unless you used your lunar sleep spell, and that means... It means, as we speak, Alina is battling herself in her sleep, forcing herself to unlock all her abilities one by one. And she's been asleep for hours. Ruby's eyes widen. No! She shouts. Ruby was in shock, and she was scared for Alina. Therefore, she was distracted and let her guard down. Yuriko made a quick move. A small purple lunar crystal comes out of the palm of her hand and straight to Ruby's neck, immediately knocking her unconscious. Yuriko picks her up and walks towards Kira and Kagami, thinking they should be done with Kiri by now. While Yuriko walks their direction, the two meet her halfway, but they didn't have Kiri in their hands or near them. Where's Kiri? Yuriko asks. Let's just say she's taken care of, Kagami says. Good. Now chain Ruby, Yuriko says. Kagami then grabs Ruby and chains her. They head back to the chamber where Alina was in, and Kagami tosses Ruby in there with Alina. Yuriko sighs a satisfied sigh. Our plan is working so very well. We've got Ruby and Alina in the same place. Now we just wait till they wake up. Queen Morona will be so very pleased. Nothing can stop us now. All 3 girls laugh as they walk away from the chamber satisfied. Chapter 8. After a while, Ruby starts to slowly wake up, and her eyes jolt open once she's awake and realizes where she's at. Her chains are all around her body. She can't move her arms hardly at all and can barely move her legs. Ruby looks around the chamber and immediately spots Alina. She smiles at that. Ruby tries to use her fire magic to burn the chains off her, but the chains shock her instead. It's a pretty large shock at that. However, she withstands it pretty well. Ugh, magic blocking chains. Somehow that doesn't surprise me, Ruby thinks to herself. Ruby looks at the chamber door to make sure nobody is coming. Ruby grabs her tail as best as she could with her arms chained to her body, and she takes out a key out of her fluffy gray wolf tail. She's unable to reach the key entrance in the chains. However, she tosses the key on the floor, and she also tosses herself on the floor as well. She picks the key up with her mouth and uses her physical strength to pull herself back up without using her legs much, which she makes look very easily done. The keyhole in the chains is near her neck, and she uses the key, which somehow is perfect for the chains, and puts it in the keyhole. She twists it and unlocks the chains, all using nothing but her jaw power. Ruby then gets out of the chains only halfway, so it will be easy to get back in them in case somebody comes. Ruby then runs over to Alina. Alina is still sleeping because the spell is keeping her asleep. As she sleeps, she gains energy and magically forced pace, and she uses that energy to forcefully unlock her abilities one by one. It also slowly destroys her the more abilities she unlocks. Since Ruby unlocked the chains, the magic blockage was also broken. Ruby takes Alina's hand in hers, and she closes her eyes and casts a spell. A fiery aura starts to form around both Ruby and Alina. The aura comes from Ruby towards Alina in gentle waves. After only a few seconds, Alina slowly wakes up. Alina appears to be very weak. Ruby continues the spell, and her magic essence around Alina directs itself inside Alina, healing her from the damage of the kitsune. Even Alina's leg heals. Once Alina is healed and awake, Ruby stops the spell. Alina looks at Ruby confused.